Imagine that the French president announced that Paris was no longer worthy of being the French capital. Rents were too high, the people less inspired, and the baguettes stale. To remedy this, he was going to build a new capital that would exceed Paris in both size and beauty. How long do you think it would take to do that? 10 years? 15 years? 20? Now imagine that at the same time, the president was also trying to solve a massive religious dispute, one that was tearing the population apart, as husband and wife fought over dinner about the very nature of Christ. Well, that's exactly what Constantine is about to do, and his decisions will not only alter the Roman Empire, but also send ripples into the medieval and modern worlds. How exactly did he do this? Let's find out. With all his enemies dead at his feet, Constantine got to work promoting his new fancy religion. No more than a decade ago, Christianity was illegal and its followers were subject to violent persecutions. And now, priests could travel easily as imperial agents, and property that was once confiscated was returned. And non-Christian activities like gladiatorial games and crucifixion were banned. Even though, in my opinion, crucifixion's kind of a pretty Christian-dominated activity. But here, what do I know? In 321 AD, Constantine even made Sunday a day of rest, which may have been a callback to his days as a worshipper of Sol Invictus, whose holy day was also on Sunday and, coincidentally, also had a divine birthday around Christmas. The first real hurdle that Constantine faced after he defeated Licinius was the Arian controversy. Arianism is named after Arius, a presbyter from Alexandria. Very simply put, his main idea was that God was more divine than Christ was, and that God had made Christ at a specific time. Now this wasn't a new idea, don't get me wrong, but Arius was a great hype man. He distributed leaflets, made passionate speeches, and even wrote little jingles to spread his message. The conveniently named Archbishop of Alexandria, Alexander, realised that this idea was dangerous, and he quickly denounced Arius and had him excommunicated. He hoped to squash this little heresy before it could spread. Now banned from Alexandria, Arius bounced around the Levant garnering support and having local church councils declare in his favour. With this support, he went back to Alexandria and demanded that Alexander excommunicate him. Alexander replied with a firm no, and the entire city of Alexandria erupted into chaos and rioting, because that's what Alexandria does apparently. Now, this had all occurred before 323 AD, when Constantine became the only emperor, and by the time he got around to it, the issue had kind of snowballed out of control. You see, being a soldier and lover of stability, Constantine had no time for a dispute that he saw as insignificant, especially over such esoteric matters. He wanted no more bickering in his church. Local church councils had proven useless, and if he wanted no more division in the Christian church, then Constantine would need to call a universal council, an ecumenical council. He called together hundreds of bishops of the Christian faith to gather in Nicea in 325, and to sweeten the deal, he even offered to pay for everyone's expenses. This Council of Nicea was going to be different from all other church councils. The emperor himself was going to attend. Now, if you thought this was going to be some boring church meeting with stuffy priests, you're very wrong. Literal saints attended this thing. There were men here that had been tortured during the persecutions just years before. Men missing body parts. Men who cared so much for their beliefs they were willing to die for them. And they took this issue deadly seriously. Tensions were so high that at one point, Santa Claus punched Arius in the face. Like the actual Saint Nick. So you might be wondering, why would anyone care about such a small difference in belief? And I agree that it seems rather silly. But if you look at it from the view of the anti-Arians, to them, Arius was claiming that God had not died on the cross to wash away their sins. Instead, a creation of God did. Something less divine or holy than himself. So it makes the apparent sacrifice seem insignificant. I still don't get it, but it was like super important to these guys. Constantine took an active part in the debate, encouraging whatever he thought would bring about some sort of agreement, and when he saw that the Arians were in the minority, he seized an opportunity. He proposed that God and Christ were of the same substance, and through persuasion and intimidation, he slowly turned most of the Arian bishops. In the end, Arius had two remaining supporters. They were exiled, and his writings were burned. Other than all the exiling and book burning, which here was probably pretty fun, the Council of Nicea also decided on the date for Easter, and established some of the rules for being a priest, such as banning self-castration, because that's a thing that people were doing for some reason. The important thing is that the bishops had decided what was the correct belief and that the emperor was enforcing it. And this is kind of a theme in Byzantine history, so watch out for it. The council ended and the bishops and emperor all patted themselves on the back for a job well done. And here's where we'll leave the religious matters behind and move on, because Constantine has business in Byzantium. Constantine seems to have decided to rebuild the city of Byzantium in 324 AD, just a few months before the Council of Nicea started. The city was already 1,000 years old by the time Constantine had first laid eyes on it, so why did he decide to transform Byzantium into Constantinople? Why not just continue using Nicomedia as his main city, or hey, maybe even use Rome? Well, Byzantium was actually perfectly located halfway between the western and eastern frontiers. So the emperor could fight off the Persians and the European barbarians without leaving a part of his empire exposed. The city also had a great big set of natural harbours and was located between the Black and Mediterranean seas, meaning that it could control the rich trade routes that flow between Europe and Asia. Plus, it was surrounded on three sides by water, which made it pretty easy to defend. Although Constantine didn't seem to care too much about these benefits, for him, the best thing about Byzantium was that it was near the site of his final victory over Licinius, and in his mind, there could be no better place to build a monument to his own greatness. Right, so Constantine is about to transform Byzantium from a small Greek settlement into a Christian city that will eclipse Rome itself. But before he can do that, he has to celebrate his Vicinalia, or, in other words, his 20 years of being emperor party. He celebrated in Nicea, which really pissed off the people in Rome because tradition stated that it'd be celebrated there. So in order to appease their egos, Constantine decided that, fine, he will have another party in Rome. And he left for Rome in January 326, unaware of the horrors that are about to happen. Tune in to the next episode to find out why Constantine arrives in Rome with fewer family members than he set out with, and we'll see him build one of the world's greatest cities in record time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please leave your feedback in the comments below. The format and structure of this series is kind of still up in the air, and feedback from you helps me tremendously. Don't forget to check out my sources in the description if you'd like more information, because there's only so much I can cover. And if you'd like to support the show, there are some links in the description below. Thanks for watching.